During our couples therapy session, my fiancée said, "I've been unhappy for years. I'm only here because my parents paid for the wedding already." The therapist looked shocked. I stood up. "Then let me make this easy." I called her parents right there on speaker and offered to reimburse every penny. Her mother's response was, "Original post. I, 32 male, ended my engagement in a therapist's office approximately 5 hours ago while my fiancé's mother listened on speakerphone. My hands haven't stopped shaking since, but I need to get this down while it's fresh." Some context. I've been with my fiancé for 4 years, engaged for 14 months. The wedding was supposed to be in 6 weeks. Everything was booked: venue, caterer, photographer, DJ, florist. Her parents had contributed $35,000 toward the wedding. My parents kicked in $15,000. I'd personally put another $12,000 toward various expenses. Total budget, around $62,000 for what was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. Things have been rocky for a while. Not fighting exactly, but disconnected. She seemed distant, irritable, uninterested in wedding planning despite it being her idea to have a big celebration. I suggested couples therapy about 2 months ago, thinking it would help us communicate better before the big day. She resisted at first, but eventually agreed. Today was our 4th session. The therapist had been working with us on expressing needs and understanding each other's perspectives. It had been going okay, surface-level stuff mostly, but today the therapist pushed deeper. "Therapist, I want to try something different. I'd like each of you to share one thing you've been holding back. Something you haven't said because you were afraid of the reaction." I went first. Said I was worried she didn't seem excited about the wedding anymore, and I wanted to understand why. Then it was her turn. She sat there for a long moment. Wouldn't look at me. The therapist waited. I waited. Finally, she said, "I've been unhappy for years. I'm only here in this relationship, in this therapy, going through with this wedding because my parents already paid for everything. I can't back out now and waste their money." The therapist's face. I wish I could describe it. This woman who'd been professionally neutral for 4 sessions looked like someone had slapped her. Me. "I'm sorry, what?" Her. "You asked for honesty. That's the truth. I've known for at least 2 years that this wasn't right. But by the time I was sure, we were already engaged, deposits were down, my parents had written checks. I couldn't just throw that away." Me. "So you've been lying to me for 2 years? Pretending to want this?" Her. "I wasn't pretending. I was trying. I thought maybe I'd feel different eventually. That the wedding would fix things." Me. "The wedding would fix you not loving me?" Her. "I never said I don't love you." Me. "You said you've been unhappy for years. That you're only here because of money. That's not love. That's hostage-taking." The therapist tried to intervene, saying something about staying calm and processing feelings. But I wasn't interested in processing. I was interested in clarity. Me. "So if the money wasn't a factor, you'd leave? Right now? Today?" She didn't answer. Which was an answer. I stood up, pulled out my phone. Her. "What are you doing?" Me. "Making this easy for you." I called her mother. Put on speaker. The therapist looked like she wanted to stop me, but didn't. Her mom answered on the 3rd ring. Her mom. "Hello? Is everything okay?" Me. "Hi. I'm here with your daughter at our therapy session. She just told me she's only going through with our wedding because you and her father paid for it. So I'm calling to let you know that I will personally reimburse you every dollar you've spent. Every deposit, every payment, everything. The wedding is off." Silence on the line. My fiancée was staring at me with her mouth open. Her mom. She said what? Me. She said she's been unhappy for years, and the only reason she didn't leave was because of the money you invested. So I'm removing that obstacle. Name an amount, and I'll pay it. Her mom. That's $35,000. Me. I'm aware. I'll write you a check this week. Your daughter is now free to make whatever choice she actually wants to make, without financial guilt. Her mom's response was not what I expected. Her mom. You're telling me my daughter has been lying to everyone, to you, to us, to her own family, for 2 years about wanting this wedding? My fiancé jumped in. Mom, that's not what I... Her mom. Be quiet. I'm talking to him. Then, to me, young man, I appreciate your offer, but you shouldn't have to pay for my daughter's dishonesty. If she's been wasting everyone's time and money because she couldn't have an adult conversation, that's on her, not on you. My fiancée, Mom, her mom. We will discuss this later. Right now, I need you to understand that I'm furious. We have relatives flying in from 3 states. Your father took out money from savings for this. I've been planning this wedding for over a year, and you're telling me you've known since before you were engaged that you didn't want this. My fiancée started crying. The therapist was watching this unfold like someone witnessing a car accident in slow motion. Her mom, I need to call your father. This conversation isn't over. She hung up. I looked at my fiancée. She was sobbing now, mascara running, the whole picture of devastation. Part of me, the part that had loved her for 4 years, wanted to comfort her. But a bigger part of me recognized that she'd been performing a relationship while I'd been living one. I meant what I said. I'll reimburse your parents. They shouldn't lose money because you couldn't be honest. You're really ending this? In a therapy session? Over one thing I said. No. I'm ending this because you've been pretending to want a life with me for years. The therapy session is just where I found out. I said I was trying. That's not the same as pretending. You just told me the only reason you're still here is because of your parents' investment. That means if they hadn't paid, you would have left. That means every I love you for the past 2 years was contingent on $35,000. I'm worth more than that, or at least I should be. I left. The therapist said something about scheduling a follow-up, but I wasn't listening. I got in my car, drove to a parking lot somewhere, and sat there for an hour, just existing. That was 5 hours ago. My phone has been blowing up. Her calling. Her sister calling. My parents calling. I texted them a brief summary. I haven't answered any of it. I'll update when I figure out what comes next. Right now, I just need to sit with the fact that my entire future just evaporated because my fiancé finally told the truth. Update 1, 3 days later. I've had some time to process, and a lot has happened since the therapy session. I need to document this because the situation has evolved in ways I genuinely didn't expect. First, thank you for all the support on my original post. Some people thought I was too impulsive, that I should have continued the session and talked it through. Maybe, but here's my perspective. She had 2 years to talk it through. She chose not to. The therapy session wasn't a beginning. It was an ending that had been delayed too long. Now for what happened after. The night of the session, I finally answered my parents' call, told them everything. My mom cried. My dad said better now than after the wedding, which, yeah, true. They offered to help with whatever I needed. I also got a text from her father. Can we talk tomorrow? Man to man. I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop the next morning. Her dad showed up looking 10 years older than the last time I'd seen him. He sat down, ordered nothing, and got straight to it. Her dad. My wife told me what happened. I want you to know that I'm not here to ask you to reconsider. Okay. Her dad. I'm here because I raised my daughter to be better than this. What she did, stringing you along because she didn't want to waste our money, that's not the person I thought she was. And I owe you an apology on behalf of my family. Sir, you don't owe me. Her dad. Yes, I do. Because here's the thing. We didn't just pay for a wedding. We paid for what we thought was a future for our daughter. A good man who loved her. A stable life. If she's been lying to you, she's been lying to us too. And that's not your fault. I didn't know what to say. This wasn't the conversation I'd expected. Her dad. About the money. I appreciate your offer to reimburse us, but we're not taking it. I meant what I said. Her dad. I know you did. And that's exactly why we're not taking it. You're a good man. You shouldn't have to pay $35,000 because my daughter couldn't be honest. We'll eat the loss. Consider it the cost of learning who she really is. I don't know what to say. Her dad. You don't have to say anything. Just take care of yourself. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry things turned out this way. He left without ordering anything. Just came, said his piece, and went. That conversation gave me some peace. Her dad's response. Taking responsibility for his daughter's choices, refusing to let me carry the financial burden, was more grace than I expected from anyone in this situation. But then came her response. That afternoon, my fiancé showed up at my apartment. I shouldn't have opened the door, but old habits die hard. We need to talk. Me, I think we've talked enough. Her, you humiliated me. In front of the therapist. On the phone with my mother. You made me look like the villain. Me, you told me you've been unhappy for years and only stayed because of money. How exactly am I supposed to spin that? Her, I was being vulnerable. That's what therapy is for. You don't take someone's vulnerable moment and use it to blow up their life. Me, your vulnerable moment was admitting you've been lying to me for our entire engagement. That's not vulnerability. That's a confession. Her, I didn't say I was lying. Me, you said you've known for 2 years this wasn't right. 2 years ago, you said yes when I proposed. You let me plan a future with you. You let your parents spend $35,000. You let my parents spend $15,000. You let me spend $12,000. All while knowing you didn't want this. That's not just lying, it's fraud. Her, this is so typical of you. Making everything about money. Me, you're the one who said the money was why you stayed. I'm just responding to your reasons. She didn't have a good answer for that. Instead, she shifted tactics. Her, what am I supposed to tell people? Everyone knows we're getting married. I have 3 bridal showers scheduled. My friends bought dresses. Me, tell them the truth. Or don't. That's your problem now, not mine. Her, you're being cruel. Me, I'm being honest. Something you apparently struggled with for years. She left crying. I felt like garbage, but I also knew I'd done nothing wrong. The next 2 days were chaos. Calls from her sister saying I was overreacting. Texts from her friends calling me heartless. A message from her college roommate saying I was throwing away something beautiful over one bad therapy session. I didn't respond to any of them. Let them think what they want. But here's where things took an interesting turn. Yesterday, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was her cousin, someone I met maybe twice at family events. Her cousin, hey, I know this is weird, but I wanted to reach out. I heard what happened. Me, okay. Her cousin, listen, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I feel like you deserve to know. What she said in therapy, about being unhappy and staying for the money, that wasn't a slip. She's been saying that to people in the family for months. Me, what? Her cousin. She told me at Easter that she wasn't sure about the wedding but couldn't back out because of her parents' investment. She told her sister the same thing. She told our aunt. Everyone knew except you. Me. Everyone knew. Her cousin. Not everyone, but enough people. And nobody said anything because they figured it was just cold feet, that she'd come around. But the fact that she actually said out loud in therapy to you with a witness, that's different. That's real. Me. Why are you telling me this? Her cousin. Because what she did wasn't fair. And because I think you should know you're not crazy. She's been telling people one thing and you another for a long time. You deserve better. I thanked her and hung up. So that's where I am now. Processing the fact that my fiancé's own family knew she didn't want to marry me and said nothing. Processing the fact that I was the last person to learn the truth about my own relationship. More updates coming. Update 2. 7 days later. Things have continued to develop, and I want to share what's happened because this situation has gotten more complicated than I anticipated. After learning that multiple people in her family knew about her doubts and said nothing, I took a few days to just be angry. Not productive, but necessary. Sometimes you need to sit with the rage before you can move past it. Then I started dealing with practical matters. The wedding cancellation itself was a logistical nightmare. I spent an entire day on the phone with vendors. Here's the damage. Venue, $8,000 deposit lost. Non-refundable within 60 days of event. Caterer, $4,500 deposit lost. Photographer, $1,500 deposit, but she agreed to apply it to a future event, which was kind of her. DJ, $500 deposit lost. Florist, $2,200 deposit lost. Her dress alterations, not my problem, but apparently $1,800 down the drain. My suit and groomsmen rentals, $1,100, partially refundable. Total losses on my end, from my $12,000 contribution, approximately $7,500. Her parents are eating their $35,000. My parents got some refunds and lost about $6,000 of their $15,000. Combined, We all lost roughly $48,000 on a wedding that was never going to be happy. I sent her parents a letter, actual paper letter, seemed appropriate, thanking them for their graciousness about the money and apologizing that things ended this way. Her dad texted me a few days later saying he appreciated the gesture and wished me well. Her mom hasn't contacted me, which is probably for the best. Now for the Messier stuff. My ex-fiancée has apparently been telling people a very different version of events. According to mutual friends who've reached out, her story is: I ambushed her in therapy by pushing her to say things she didn't mean. I overreacted to a normal expression of pre-wedding anxiety. I publicly humiliated her by calling her mother without her consent. I'm financially manipulative because I offered to pay back her parents. Somehow this makes me the bad guy. She loved me deeply, and I threw it all away. The narrative is wild, completely disconnected from what actually happened. But I've learned that people process rejection by rewriting history, and there's nothing I can do about how she chooses to remember things. What I can do is tell the truth to people who ask directly. Several friends have reached out wanting my side. I've told them exactly what happened. She admitted in therapy she'd been unhappy for years and only stayed because of money. That's not ambush. That's not overreaction. That's responding to information that fundamentally changed everything. Some people believe me. Some clearly didn't. A few unfollowed me on social media. That's fine. The pruning of my social circle is probably overdue anyway. The interesting development came yesterday. I got a call from the therapist's office. The therapist herself wanted to speak with me. We had a brief conversation. She couldn't share anything confidential, obviously, but she wanted to check in on how I was doing and offer some resources for processing the end of a significant relationship. At the end of the call, she said something that stuck with me. Therapist, I've been doing this work for 15 years. What happened in that session was unusual. It's rare for someone to be that honest in a way that ends things so decisively. Most people hedge. They protect themselves. She didn't, and you responded accordingly. I'm not saying either of you is right or wrong. That's not my place. But I will say that you deserve to be with someone who wants to be with you, not someone who's staying because of sunk costs. That meant more than she probably knew. One more thing happened that I want to mention. My ex reached out one more time. Not in person this time, a long email. I'll summarize the key points. She acknowledged that she could have handled things better and should have been honest sooner. She said she did love me, but had been confused about what she wanted. She blamed pressure from her parents and expectations for why she didn't speak up. She asked if there was any chance we could talk this through and maybe find a way forward. The email ended with, I know I hurt you, but 4 years is a long time to throw away. Please think about it. I thought about it. For about an hour, I genuinely considered what a way forward would look like. Then I remembered sitting in that therapy session, hearing her say the only reason there was money. I remembered the cousin telling me the family knew. I remembered 2 years of feeling like something was off, but trusting her when she said everything was fine. I wrote back one line. I wish you well, but there's no way forward. Please don't contact me again. She hasn't responded. I hope she doesn't. Final update coming once all the practical matters are settled. Update 3. Final, 11 days later. This is my last update. The dust has settled. The cancellations are complete, and I'm ready to close this chapter. First, the practical wrap-up. All vendor contracts have been dealt with. The final tally of losses. My personal contribution was $12,000, and I recovered about $4,500 through refunds and credits, so I'm out $7,500. My parents lost about $6,000 of their $15,000. Her parents lost the full $35,000 since most of it went to non-refundable deposits and the venue. Her dad reached out one more time to ask if I wanted to split the total losses more equitably. I declined. Not out of spite. I just want a clean break. Taking money from them, even offered freely, felt like it would create an ongoing connection I didn't want. He said he understood. We shook hands metaphorically over text. That's probably the last I'll hear from him. Second, the social fallout. My ex has apparently committed fully to her version of events. From what I hear through the grapevine, friends of friends, social media glimpses before I blocked everything. She's positioned herself as the victim of a controlling, emotionally unavailable man who abandoned her over nothing. A few key people have reached out directly. Her sister sent me a scathing message about how I destroyed their family and stolen their joy. I didn't respond. Her college roommate, one of her bridesmaids, actually apologized to me. Said she'd suspected something was off for months, but didn't want to get involved. I thank her for reaching out, but made clear I wasn't interested in maintaining any connection to my ex's world. Most of our mutual friends have quietly picked sides. The split is roughly 60-40 in my favor, based on who's still responding to my texts. That's better than I expected, honestly. Third, the unexpected development. About a week after my last update, I got a message from someone I didn't expect, my ex's brother. We'd always gotten along reasonably well, but he'd stayed silent through this whole mess. Her brother, "Hey, I heard what happened. Sorry I didn't reach out sooner. Things have been crazy on this end." Me, I can imagine. Her brother, "Look, I'm not going to defend what she did. Between us, I think she messed up badly and handled it worse. But I also know my sister, and she's not a monster. She's someone who got scared and made terrible choices because she couldn't face disappointing people. Me, I appreciate that. But her fear of disappointing people cost me 2 years of my life and almost $8,000. Not to mention your parents' money. At some point, the reasons stop matching and the consequences are just consequences." Her brother, "I know. I guess I just wanted to say, don't let this turn you bitter. You're a good guy. What she did wasn't about you." Me, "What was it about then?" Her brother, her inability to be honest. Her fear of confrontation. Her tendency to let things build until they explode. This is a pattern with her, if I'm being real. You're not the first person she strung along because she couldn't have a hard conversation. That hit differently than I expected. It didn't make me feel better exactly, but it did help me understand that this wasn't personal. I wasn't uniquely unworthy of honesty. She just doesn't do honesty. Probably never will. Me, thanks for telling me that. Her brother, "Yeah, take care of yourself." Fourth, my own processing. I started seeing a therapist. A different one. Going back to the couple's therapy office felt too weird. The new therapist is helping me work through not just the breakup, but the betrayal aspect of it. She made an observation in our second session that stuck with me. You're grieving 2 losses. The relationship you thought you had and the future you were building toward. Both are real losses, even though neither was what you believed. That's exactly right. I'm not just sad that it's over. I'm sad that it was never what I thought it was. Some final thoughts. 1. Trust your gut. I felt something was off for months, maybe years. The distance, the lack of enthusiasm, the way she'd deflect when I try to talk about our future. I explained it all away as stress, as pre-wedding jitters, as normal relationship fluctuation. It wasn't. When something feels wrong, it usually is. 2. Therapy is only useful if people are honest. We went to 4 sessions. In 3 of them, she performed being a committed partner. It took the therapist specifically asking for something you've been holding back to crack the facade. If she'd been honest from session 1, we might have ended things more gracefully. But she couldn't be honest until she was specifically invited to. And even then, I think it surprised her that the words came out. 3. Money isn't worth your happiness. She stayed because of $35,000. That's a lot, but it's also not. It's a car. It's a year of rent in some places. It's significant but recoverable. What's not recoverable is years of your life spent with someone who doesn't want to be there. She made a bad trade. 4. Other people's opinions don't define your reality. She's out there telling everyone I'm the villain. Some people believe her, but I was in that room. I heard what she said. I know what happened. The truth doesn't need everyone to believe it to still be true. 5. Endings can be beginnings. This is cliché, but it's cliché because it's true. 3 weeks ago, I was 6 weeks from a wedding that would have been a mistake. Now I'm single, lighter, and free to find someone who actually wants to build a life with me. That's not nothing. My apartment is quiet now. Her stuff is gone. She sent her sister to pick it up while I was at work, which was fine. Easier that way. The spaces where her things used to be are empty, but empty isn't always bad. Sometimes empty is just room for something new. I still have the ring. Haven't figured out what to do with it. Sell it, probably. It's worth about $6,000. Would recover most of my losses. Seems fitting somehow. Turn the symbol of what wasn't into practical value for what comes next. The wedding date is in 4 weeks. I took the day off work anyway. Not to mourn, just to not be there. I'll probably order takeout and watch movies. Something mindless. Something that requires nothing from me emotionally. Maybe by then, I'll stop checking my phone, expecting her text. Maybe by then, the mornings won't start with that split second of forgetting before I remember. Maybe by then, this will feel like something that happened instead of something that's happening. Thanks for following this story. It helped to write it down. To have strangers validate that I wasn't crazy for leaving, that I was right to prioritize being wanted over being convenient. For years is a long time, but it's shorter than a lifetime of being someone's financial obligation instead of their choice. I'm going to be okay. Peace.